Thank you so much, Joe. And indeed, it really is an honor. It's something that I really look forward to welcoming people to St. Vincent. So we're happy that the Pittsburgh Steelers become an occasion that the PAC really likes to do their football media coverage here. It's a good thing. This year is perhaps even more special than previous years. We remember today not only Dow Carnahan that we miss deeply, we also remember Dan Rooney. Dan, as you know, passed away in February. And not having him here this summer, things are a little bit different. We miss that kind of very personal presence that both Dan and his father, Art Sr., had. But I'd like to say that it's a reminder of how important what we're doing is. So this is, their absence in the face of death is not one of saying like, well, is this football really meaningful? It is. It kind of elevates what we are engaged in. And you as coaches have this very sacred trust, if you will, to try to form young men, clearly to be good football players, okay, and good team members and good sportsmanship, but ultimately men that are going to lead and make a difference in our country. So we celebrate your work, we celebrate the play of football, and we remember people like Dan Rooney and Dow Carnahan, and we do it in a way with grateful memories. So thank you all for being here, and Joe, it's your show.
We're going to ask Brother Norman to stay close here because we do have an award we'd like to give to start things off. I want to give a little bit of background on this because this is something new for us in the PAC. This past spring, our sports information directors, a very active, very talented group, a couple of them led by Bam Thompson here at St. Vincent, and also Sean King, who's a St. Vincent graduate, who's the SID at W&J, were among those who brought forth the idea of a media award. We've been very fortunate that we're in 2017 and everyone knows about the changes that have taken place in the media landscape. And many conferences like us have discontinued their media day. We have not. We've been very fortunate to have had great representation, great coverage, very steady through I think this is the 11th year we've been here at St. Vincent now. And certainly part of that is the proximity to the Steelers and the amount of media that's here already. But also we're just very fortunate that there's a great deal of interest in PAC football, particularly here in Western Pennsylvania. The proposal they brought really is probably one of the easiest proposals we've had to consider, and it was to name this media award for someone who really represents what the PAC is all about. And by that would be an individual who is selfless, who was hardworking, who was passionate, who was a professional, and who was a real ambassador for our conference. When they began talking about this, there was one name, and really one name only, that came to mind above everybody else, and that name was Dow Carnahan. For those of you that had the pleasure of knowing Dow, he was every one of those things and more. Dow served as the voice of the St. Vincent Bearcats here in Latrobe for 30 years. He had other ties to the PAC. He was a graduate of Westminster College and the broadcast communications program there, and then came into the PAC when St. Vincent joined the PAC in 2006. He had been their voice for many years before that when they were members of the NAIA. And immediately, Dow became our greatest ambassador. He was so passionate for what we did. He had such a love for sport, for the PAC. He was a colleague, but more importantly, he was a friend. And it's amazing, in the decade I knew him, I don't remember Dow Carnahan a single time having a negative word to say about anybody. Think about how few people in your life you could say that about. I could probably count them on one hand. But Dow was one of those people. He was constantly positive, always looking to promote, and never looking to promote himself. He was a gentleman who was as selfless as I've ever seen. He did not want to be the story. He wanted the game to be the story, the coaches and the athletes to be the story. He was a real exemplar for for all young broadcasters out there. And he made his mark in more areas than this. He was very well known in the race community down here, for those of you who don't know, very involved in the various motorsports parks down this direction. Dow tragically passed away last summer, and we miss him terribly. I remember standing up here a year ago, and it was not too far removed from that, just thinking about how it felt so different without him here. But it was the unanimous proposal of our sports information directors, and later unanimously approved by our athletic directors, that beginning in 2017, the PAC would annually at Football Media Day give the Dow Carnahan Media Award to a member of the media who has exemplified his characteristics in their coverage of the PAC, and to thank them and show our appreciation for what they do. And of course, who better than to receive that than Dow posthumously this first year. So we are very pleased to have members of his family and friends here with us today. We have his parents, Ron and Anna Jean are here. His sister, Jill Plafkin, did I say that right? And her husband, Dean. My old friend, Jim Jones, who many years was the color commentator for Bearcat football. And Jack Kells, great to see. It's just wonderful that you could all be here today. It means so much to us. I know how much all of you meant to Dow, and we want you to know how much Dow meant to us. So on behalf of the PAC, on behalf of St. Vincent, we're going to have Brother Norman come forward, and we would like to present you with the first annual Dow Carnahan Media Award.
On three. 1, 2, 3. One more for me, please. 1, 2, 3. Terrific.
We're going to have the Carnahan family step outside. I know the school would like to get some more photos of them out there. But again, on behalf of the PAC, thank you so much for being here today. And we are so glad you could be a part of this day with us here today.